This is the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Welcome to the Diamond Hogs Podcast. I am your host, Mason Choate, joined by Robert Stewart, my co-host. And Arkansas series win over Ole Miss, and it didn't look like it for a little bit there, but Kendall Diggs and Michael Turner, and basically you live by the long ball and you die by the long ball.
It certainly is appearing to be the case for Arkansas in 2022, and this weekend I think was a perfect encapsulation of it. Yeah, like you said, Kendall Diggs, certainly turned the series around. Has he turned the season around? It's going to be interesting to find out.
I don't know if he turned the season around, because you look at it on Sunday, it's still only home runs. So we'll figure that out. And also Jackson Wiggins, back-to-back outings where he gets pulled early. Of course, the Texas A&M outing was a little bit different, but he only goes 3 innings on Sunday. Arkansas still gets the win, though. And Brady Tiger's the real deal.
Yes, he is.
So we'll get into all of that here on today's Diamond Hogs podcast. And before we do, as you know, we need to remind you can find us on the Hit That Line Podcast Network. Go to hitthatline.com to find all of your Razorback Athletics listening needs. You can find Robert's recaps. Go to Hit That Line AR on Twitter, and you can keep up with the games, get some quotes from after the game as well. Robert does all that for them. And go to hitthatline.com to find the Diamond Hogs podcast, along with a bunch of other podcasts. Or just type in Hit That Line on your podcast app of choice. Mine is Spotify. What's yours?
I'm a Spotify guy.
Okay, there you go. So type that in on Spotify or Apple. I think more people use Apple than Spotify, but wherever you listen, just type in Hit That Line and you'll find the Diamond Hogs podcast. And we're also on HawgBeat.com. HawgBeat covers Razorback Baseball better than anybody. Go to the YouTube and you can find the video format of the Diamond Hogs podcast, and you can also find press conferences, practice videos, recruiting breakdowns, all that good stuff over at HawgBeat.com. And go subscribe today. You won't be disappointed. And we're also brought to you by Barley and Vine in Bentonville. Big thanks to Barley and Vine at 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. As you know by now, craft beer tap room and wine bar, 32 beers on tap with several more in cans and bottles. Wide array of wine selections over at Barley and Vine, and it's a great place to just chill with your friends. So go visit them today, 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. Okay, Robert, so Friday night's game, you're worried.
Yeah, you are.
Before we do anything, Arkansas lost 4-2.
Correct.
Need to say the score. Let's say the scores for all the games real quick. Ole Miss wins 4-2 on Friday. Saturday, Arkansas wins 6-3. Thank you, Kendall Diggs. And Sunday, Arkansas wins 4-3. Okay, go into what you were going to say about Friday.
Yeah, so 8 hits for the Hogs Friday. 3 of them came in the first inning, and yet they did not produce a run. You thought that the way things were going, you had a double play, you had Robert Moore get thrown out, taking too big of a turnaround first. You think, okay, this is probably a good sign. We're hitting the ball. We're seeing the ball well. We're hitting it. And yet that was the only inning in which they had more than one hit. So offense continued to be a struggle for the Hogs after only scoring 2 runs against UCA on Tuesday. But I don't know what I think Connor Nolan was probably the bigger story in Friday's game. Like, he didn't really have his stuff. That seems to be a common theme with him. It's like he's not always on, but he still finds a way to battle and eat up innings. And I mean, you said it before the game. You thought Connor Nolan was going to throw a complete game. When he had given up 4 runs by the 5th inning, did you think he'd get through 8?
No, I did not. I thought he was going to get pulled. But yes, I did have the bold prediction before the game. I didn't post it on Twitter, but I mean, if you want the receipts, I can show you where I posted it on the HawgBeat message board. If you subscribe to HawgBeat, you would know. Also,
you could take my word for it.
Yeah, well, your word isn't worth very much, according to the Arkansas Razorback Baseball program. Anyways, yeah, so Nolan, 8 innings. He said he doesn't have his stuff. He does say that every single game. Does he ever have his stuff? I don't remember the last time we heard that he had his stuff.
I mean, what was the last time? Was it? Gosh, A&M. It seemed like he had it, didn't it? 6 innings, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts. I don't know. He was probably pissed at himself that he walked 3 guys, but it maybe since the Florida game when he threw 7 scoreless, maybe.
Well, it doesn't really matter what he did. I'm talking about like after the game, him saying I had my stuff.
Well, I'm posing that perhaps that was the last time he actually had his stuff.
According to him, though.
According to him.
Okay.
He's got high standards for himself, so you have to take what he says with a grain of salt, I guess.
It's just unfortunate that they can't provide Connor Nolan with some run support.
Yeah, he took his 2nd straight loss, right? He was 5-1 going into College Station. Tough luck loss there. Quality start. 2 runs? Neither of them earned. Loses his 2nd game, and then not officially a quality start against Ole Miss because he gave up 4 earned runs. But giving you 8 innings on a Friday night, I don't think anybody's going to be too upset about that. So
no, nobody's mad at Connor Nolan. It's just if you're gonna give some run support, why not give it when your best pitcher's on the mound?
Yeah,
because I take that back. If you need run support, you actually really need it when your worst pitchers are on the mound.
Well, true, but at the same time, like your ace has given you these quality starts, probably 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 starts, right?
Yeah.
So when he doesn't have one, you probably owe it to him to give him the run support.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's one thing. You can't blame Turner time. He went 3 for 4, and he got left on third base 3 times.
That's right, he did. That was brutal. Yeah, he moved up to third when Moore was thrown out in the first, like I mentioned. 1 out double in the 4th. Moves up to third on a fly out by Moore. Borfin strikes out. Advances to second on a walk after a single. Advances to third on a double play, so there's 2 outs, and then there's another out. So,
speaking of Turner time, thank you to Tole Sports Management for our Turner time shirts.
Fantastic.
We need to figure out what we're going to do with the giveaways also. I have like 4 boxes filled to the brim with Chinook seeds, and I have a bunch of shirts from Tole Sports Management. We got to give them away because I can't eat all of those seeds. That would be like 3 years worth of seeds.
You're set.
I am set, but I would also like to give back to the listeners.
Fair point.
So we'll figure something like that out. But okay, so back to Friday night's game. Yeah, I mean, it's just tough, man. 8 hits, but can't turn it into runs. And going into this game, that was the biggest thing that people were complaining about was, and I made a mistake. I tweeted out, I said that the Arkansas can't hit crowd is thriving right now. I tweeted that out on Friday, and then everybody was like, no, it's not that they can't hit, it's that they can't hit when they need to get a hit. And it's like, or something like that,
Timely hitting.
Timely hitting, that's what it was. And Friday night, an example.
Yeah, they were 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position, and I think I posed this question to you after the game. Is it more problematic that they didn't have a hit with runners in scoring position, or is it more problematic that they had just 4 at bats with runners in scoring position?
I don't know, man.
Because they had 8 hits, like I said in that game. Only 3 runners left on base. They had Wallace was erased on a double play in the first. Moore thrown out. Borfin caught stealing. Webb was out when he was running, and there was batter's interference against Caden Wallace.
Which that play didn't make any sense.
I really thought the rule was he just had to go back to first.
Why would the runner be called out on something that happens with the batter?
Exactly.
I don't know the rule book. I have not read it.
Struggling to make sense of that one. Anyway, another double play. Jace Borfin in the 7th inning. And then Peyton Stovall walked. Braden Webb homered. Salvaged a little bit. Didn't get shut out. Gave yourself a chance to win, I guess.
Yeah. But either way, Arkansas loses. You do get an inning from Evan Taylor there in the 9th. He throws an inning, strikes out 2. And as you said, gave you a chance. You were down by 2 in the bottom of the 9th. And did they go 3? Turner out, Moore ground out, Borfin struck out looking. Okay, yeah.
1, 2, 3 in the 9th, yep.
Yep.
Short game, 2 hours, 27 minutes.
That was the positive of this game. For those of you who don't know, short games are wonderful for the media. Long games are terrible for the media. If you're at the game, it's a little bit different. Like if you're just there watching. Like if I was in the hog pen, I'd I'd be fine with a 4-hour-long game.
You're spending your hard-earned dollars. You want to soak up as much time as you can.
Yeah.
I understand that.
It's a little different. Short games are awesome. So let's move on. Are you good from Friday night? You always write these notes down that you want to talk about.
Yeah, what else did I say? Can't hit. Nolan's a competitor. Way to save the bullpen.
Yeah, so some people were upset, I saw on Twitter, wondering, why are they leaving Nolan in? I think people were saying that Dave Van Horn is just like, he doesn't care. He's leaving Nolan in.
What was the comment you got? He was like the most overrated coach in all of sports.
Yeah, somebody tweeted that, replied to one of my tweets with that, eventually deleted it, but they did say Dave Van Horn was one of the most overrated coaches in all of sports.
The most, not one of.
Oh, yeah, the most.
Seems like a bit of a reach. I don't know.
It's just like, why would you pull him? It felt like Friday night was just a night that they just weren't hitting the ball well. And why waste arms when you kind of know? Like, sometimes you just know we're not going to win this game. Like NC State in game 1 of the Supers. They lost 26 to something, right?
It was the Hogs scored more than 20 runs. I want to say it was 21.
Okay, it might have been 21. Either way, they saved their arms that game.
Yes.
And
I mean, we talked about it on this podcast last year. That was strategic.
It was strategic, and so you look at Arkansas, that's what they did in this Friday night game. Now, if you look at it, they only ended up throwing 2 more guys, Brady Tigert and Zack Morris, on the weekend out of the bullpen, but that's all they needed.
Yeah, and it's got to be really good for those guys' confidence, right? Because Morris got 3 innings on Sunday, so did Brady Tigert after throwing 2 on Saturday. So, 5 innings, close to 100 pitches, I want to say, for Brady Tigert. That was quite the show.
I think Zack Morris has upgraded from, he began with Zack Morris, ? He went to Zack Morris, period. I think he's now at Zack Morris, !
If he's not, then he's on the cusp because his ERA is sitting at an even 1.00 right now.
He, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but he has not given up a run since April 5th.
UCA.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah.
Wow. Somebody mentioned it in the press conference Sunday that he has worked 9 1/3 scoreless innings in conference play.
That was Andrew Ellis. I remember that. Okay. You ready to move on to Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. So Saturday was highlighted by the Kendall Diggs walk-off and Hagen.
All the home runs, not just the walk-off home run.
All the home runs, but the walk-off home run was the highlight.
It was the highlight.
It was the highlight. And Hagen Smith, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts. But, okay, before we do, though, Ole Miss was going to the plate to hit anything within the strike zone. Like, not even just any hittable pitch. They were swinging. They put the bat to the ball a lot this weekend. Yeah,
you mentioned 8 strikeouts for Hagen Smith, but, he had 3 going into the 5th inning. He struck out his last 5 batters to get there.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're right. They were swinging early and often. He didn't record his first strikeout until the 9-hitter at the end, almost the end of the 2nd inning. Got 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th. Walked a guy, pop up in the 5th inning. Gets 2 guys, including Tim Elko, to go down swinging, and then 3 in a row in the 6th, and that was his outing. Finished at 98 pitches, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said during the game, like he really seems to settle in the longer he works. And, maybe he was a little shaky at first, but he certainly figured it out and notched himself a quality start.
He did. And on the other side for Arkansas, Brady Slavens and Braden Webb keeping the Hogs in the game. So Ole Miss scores 2 runs across the 2nd and 3rd. Arkansas did get a homer in the 1st from Brady Slavens. Then Webb in the 5th, bottom of the 5th, hits a 2-run homer. And so Slavens and Webb going into the game were tied at 10 home runs. Slavens takes the lead with 11. Webb's like, no. He hits a home run, ties it back at 11. Some people were like, that's a low number for where we're at in the season. Yeah, duh. What do you want me to say? Yes.
Right.
They have not hit a lot of home runs, and I think it's because of what Dave Van Horn says. It's the wind. And for those of you who don't want to hear that excuse, a Tennessee beat writer like the number one Tennessee beat writer. I think his name's like Wes Rooker or something. Rucker. He tweeted out today that there was a Tennessee hit that would have been home run if it wasn't for the wind. So you cannot say that it's only Arkansas, Tennessee fans and Arkansas fans. Tennessee also complains about the wind at some point.
It was funny. Michael Turner in his answer on Sunday was like, I forget who asked the question, but he said, we're not supposed to talk about the wind anymore because you've had to deal with it for so long. It's just part of the, it's not an excuse anymore, right?
Dave Van Horn said the same thing after Saturday's game.
Right, but then he proceeds to go on we'd have 25 more home runs if we didn't have to deal with it. So
yeah.
I mean, it's been a problem, but they're finding ways to win.
They are, and you just look at it. Ole Miss ties it up in the top of the 8th. You're sitting at a 3-3 ball game.
That was when Taylor walked 3 in a row, right?
Yeah, Evan Taylor, that was the first time we've seen him struggle in a long time.
Yeah, he didn't have a super clean 7th. Van Horn said he liked what he saw, worked out of a jam, didn't really become a problem. But then 3 walks in a row, I want to say in total, Arkansas pitchers walked 8 batters in Saturday's game, so it's not the prettiest display of pitching. But Tiger cleaned up the mess pretty well, did allow an inherited run, but it came at the expense of 2 Ole Miss outs, Peyton Shotney a double play, and then a strikeout of Hayden Leatherwood, I believe, to walk away in a tie game when the winning run was 180 feet away with nobody out. So you'll take that.
Yeah. Unfortunate for Evan Taylor because going into the game, he had 4 walks on the year, and then he walks 4 batters in this. One was an intentional walk, but it was 4 walks.
It was 4 walks, and that was tough. I mean, that was when we sort of got to see the questionable strike zone, right? I think Dave touched on it a little bit, and he certainly did on Sunday. For those of you who saw Sunday's press conference,
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this because I even heard the ESPN announcers, because I watched Sunday's game on TV, they said they aren't allowed to talk about the TrackMan. And so it's like, why is it there?
Why is it on display for us?
So I just will say, this is all I'll say about it. We watched the TrackMan all weekend. There were a lot of really bad calls.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted about the one on Zach Gregory in game 1, and it was not close, that strike 3. I ended up deleting it because
whatever. But I will also say there were a lot of pitches that Razorback fans were very upset about that were balls. It was just an inconsistent strike zone all weekend. Yes,
I would say the umpires were not helping the Razorback fans be knowledgeable about when to boo and when to cheer.
Yeah. Okay. As far as pitching, just rounded out on Saturday, Tigert comes in, gives you 2 innings of no-hit ball. Did walk 2, but got 2 strikeouts, 1 on Tim Elko.
Yep, that was big.
Tigert had Elko's number this weekend.
Yes, he did, and he had a big double play right after Elko too. He had that ground ball to Moore, tagged him out, and the umpire somehow missed that call.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't even need to put the headsets on. I guess the other members of the crew just overruled him on the spot. That was kind of crazy. But
the guy at second, the umpire at second base on Saturday had 2 really bad calls.
Yeah, because he missed the transfer call too, right? Yeah,
it wasn't even a transfer; he just dropped it.
Right. It was a bouncer to second by Robert Moore. Shortstop. There was a runner on first. Shortstop was covering second. I guess the umpire thought he botched the transfer, but caught the ball. Replay clearly showed he never had it. I mean, I certainly thought it looked that way on first glance. He must have had a bad view or something because, yikes, that was a rough call.
Yeah. We didn't even mention the lineup changes going into this game.
Yeah. Lanzilli comes back in. He was out on Friday. Chase Borfin played right. No Gregory, moved Borfin to left, and no Stovall, moved Diggs to DH, Slavens to first.
And it paid off. Dave Van Horn said after the game, before I left the office last night, I decided I was going to play Diggs. He said he felt a little guilty for not playing him all year, and sure enough, it worked out. Diggs, I mean,
he hit 2 or 3 balls really hard.
He had 3, at least 2 balls that were hit over 100 miles an hour off the bat, and then of course the home run that won it. Shirt comes off. It was great. He was excited. Said it was his first career walk off, and it was an awesome moment.
It was. And going back to the lineup changes for a sec, there was a left-handed pitcher. You may recall after the A&M game when Dave Van Horn told me to look at Gregory's numbers versus lefties. I did so. He was hitting 2 for 18. That's a 111 batting average. So I guess that's why he wanted to go with Warfin, even though he's also a lefty. Kendall Diggs, 3 for 5. That's a 600 batting average. Stovall's numbers aren't very good either, so that one makes sense. I was a little puzzled when he kept that same lineup on Sunday versus a righty, but I figured it just had to do with the fact that you want a big, potentially season-shifting momentum game the night before. Why tinker with things?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's probably what it boiled down to.
Okay. Before we get to Sunday's game, I want to remind you about our friends at Barley and Vine. Definitely go check them out, 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. If you're trying to have a good time, get a couple drinks, maybe get some food from the first seat, and play some games, whatever you want, shuffleboard, darts, or just watch TV and sip on a beer, you can go there. And it's a good place to hang out with your friends at 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. Okay, Sunday's game, Arkansas wins 4-3. Really, it came down to relief pitching and Michael Turner.
Yeah. The long ball was a story once again. Chris Lanzilli had one in the...
Hey, Slamzilli.
Chris Slamzilli had
Friend
one.
of the podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Big day for the friend of the podcast.
Friends of the podcast, yes.
Friends of the podcast.
Yep, 2-run shot from Mr. Slamzilli in the third gives the Hogs the lead. And then down 3-2, Michael Turner does the same. Turner smash?
Turner time.
Turner time.
Turner time, Turner smash.
So many choices.
No, there's only 2. You do not refer to him as Michael Turner.
I'm a journalist. I do.
No, you don't. On this podcast, you're not a journalist. You're an entertainer.
Okay.
Turner time.
Turner time.
There we go.
And I really want to talk about this at bat by Chris Lanzilli right beforehand. I asked him about it. What are you rolling your eyes about? It was important.
I really want to talk about this at bat. Oh, one more thing on the lineup. Dave Van Horn decided to go with Kendall Diggs because he's a lefty and he's hitting 3 for 5 against lefties.
You having a good time over there?
I sometimes you just bore me to death.
Okay. Can I talk about this Chris Lanzilli?
Yeah.
Because it was important.
Okay.
Michael Turner said so himself. Turner Time said so himself.
If Turner Time said it, I will listen.
Okay. So, Hogs are down 3-2, top 5. Bottom 5. Caden Wallace flies out. Brady Slavens grounds out. That's 5 pitches, 2 outs for Derek Diamond. Chris Lanzilli.
By the way, what a baseball name.
Derek Diamond?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Chris Lanzilli, Slamzilli, he takes strike 1, battles all the way back, has an 8-pitch at bat, sneaks it to deep shortstop, beats the throw. I'm not even sure if there was a throw. It's an infield single to short. That's an 8-pitch at bat that totally changed the course of the inning. Michael Turner was like, that slider that I was seeing before that inning, it was not the same after Chris had worked that at bat. So I believe it was the 3rd pitch of the at bat. Turner comes up, sees a slider, center cut, just belts it. I mean, that was like a 20-degree launch angle. It got out in a hurry.
Yeah, that was a bomb by Turner. Sometimes the crushed home runs are awesome, but the liners like
I dig
off
the
the
laser
building.
beams.
Yeah, like the Diggs, his home run was like that.
Yeah,
Those
Turner's
are nice,
Leach's the one that got him the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the low liners.
Okay, so yeah, Turner time. It's been a while since he's hit a home run, but
It has.
he hits the home run, and that ended up being what it took for Arkansas because you look at it, Wiggins only goes 3 innings, gives up 3 hits, 3 runs. He had 3 walks compared to 2 strikeouts. Once again, I feel like it's more of a command thing for him.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like he walked the first guy. He ended up scoring pretty quickly, but he was pitching with a lead. He had gotten 6 of his last 7 guys in the 2nd and 3rd inning. He was pitching with a lead, and then all of a sudden there's another leadoff walk, and that changes the whole inning.
Yeah.
Two more hits later, and just like that, his day is done.
It's tough, and I've had people asking me, should they keep Wiggins as the Sunday starter? And I think after the past 2 outings, it is worthy of questioning. Do I think that it is the right decision at this point? No. Do I think that it might be trending that direction? Possibly. Because the A&M game, you're on the road, that's your excuse. On the road, you're home. And Wiggins, we've seen it from you this year. And, I mean, I know Ole Miss was coming out and hitting it, and Wiggins, he can get hit, but 3 innings from your Sunday starter is normally good, but not compared to what we have seen this season from Wiggins.
Correct.
The expectation has been set higher.
It has, and he was fortunate that the bullpen had not had to work so often this weekend because Zack Morris and Brady Tigert, I mean, even though they probably could have leaned on more guys if they needed to, they were there to bail him out. Now, you mentioned the excuse last week against A&M was that they're on the road. Guess where they're going to be next week?
Auburn.
Second place Auburn.
Just got to win it at Tennessee. That's tough.
Picked up, they handed the Vols their second loss of the 21-game SEC season.
Yeah.
They are 19-2 because of Auburn. Yeah, I mean, that is probably going to decide the winner of the SEC West, that series next week. I mean, Dave said he wants to start Wiggins again.
Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
He said he wants to start him again, so sounds like that's gonna happen.
I think it would be stupid not to.
Just because you don't really have a proven alternative.
We can talk about that once we finish this game. So Morris comes out. Zack Morris, who hasn't given up a run since April 5th. He goes 3 innings, walked 2, got a strikeout, but I mean, Morris is the definition of damage control. Like, he just comes in and he just throws you 3 innings and you don't even recognize it. Like, it's just like 3 innings just happened.
Yeah, right. He comes in with an inherited runner on first, walks him over to second with 2 outs, but no problem. Big double play. That was probably the best double play I've ever seen live in the 5th inning when Moore went, as far as he could to glove it or whatever Dave Van Horn said. Threw it to Battles, and Battles somehow fields that ball and gets it off. That was just remarkable. If you haven't seen it, you got to go see it.
Yeah, that's just how those guys go now.
And then Battles made an error in the 6th, but then turned a double play right after that.
Yeah.
So
let's fast forward to the 9th, though.
Oh, Brady Tigert.
Brady Tigert in the 9th. So at this point, he had already gone 2 innings, money for 2 innings, and then here in the 9th, things get a little chippy.
Yeah. So he's at 43 pitches going into the 9th, and he threw 23 the day before, so bring his total to 66, say.
Yeah, but this is also a guy that they want to start.
You're grooming to be your starter,
so
yes.
I think that's okay.
It is okay. It's just we haven't necessarily seen him before.
Okay. Tell us what happened in the 9th quickly.
Leadoff walk, looking strikeout, walk. Jace Borfman makes a really nice catch in left field.
Very nice catch. Like right over the wall.
Over the wall in foul territory. You were wondering, couldn't really tell the trajectory of that ball off the bat, but fortunately for the Hogs, it was foul and stayed in the field of play. Borfman can make the catch, 2 outs. And then, I mean, I don't think anybody in the Arkansas dugout was happy about the ball strike calls on the second walk to Kramer, the pinch hitter. But the one to Gonzalez right after that catch, oof, I mean, a bunch of people were up in arms about that.
Yeah.
It looked like Hobbs or Van Horn or somebody was about to get tossed. According to the TrackMan, looked a little off. I think there was one that caught the edge and probably should have been called a strike. But they weren't, and you heard it from Tigert and Van Horn after the game. It didn't really faze him. He didn't lose belief in his stuff, and he kept firing. And I mean, Tim Elko, the dangerous slugger who hit a 446-foot home run the previous day, who Tigert had struck out twice in the series already, by the way.
I think I said 3 times earlier. I might have, but twice I believe is correct.
He faced him 3 times, struck him out twice. So that's a big spot. I mean, that's
bases loaded, 2 outs, top of the ninth. Arkansas has a 1-run lead.
That may be the most stressful situation that the Hogs have been in all year.
Yeah.
And
Freshman on the mound.
right.
Best hitter in the SEC right now. Home run leader.
Yeah. And I mean, you heard it from Turner after the game, too. I've never seen a freshman keep his composure that well in such a tough spot.
Yeah.
He did. Gets him to fly out. Hogs win the series.
Big time.
Big time.
Brady Tigert is big time. That is a very valuable piece to have come postseason play. Him, Zack Morris, Evan Taylor. The thing about that is that's 3 names. You need more than that.
Yes, you do.
And it seems like another thing like last year where they're only trusting a limited amount of guys out of the bullpen. I think that's how they work, but what happens when one of them gets shelled? And the other guy can only go so long. Like, what if Wiggins pulls an A&M in the supers, and you can only get 3 innings from Morris? Tiger's already gone back-to-back. Taylor's already pitched once. What do you do?
You have to go to a rusty guy like Vermillion or Tole or somebody who hasn't faced live hitting in weeks.
And you only have one more midweek.
That is the shortcoming that the potential shortcoming that you face with this strategy.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, one more midweek. So the guys that normally throw in midweeks, the Ramages, the McIntyres, they are going to be probably more available as bullpen guys going forward. You would think, right?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
You would think that Ramage and McIntyre, guys like that, would be more available on the weekends if they're not starting on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I would think so. When people were asking me, no, we'll get into this after this. Let's do an ad read real quick.
Okay.
So, as always, Barley and Vine, I mean, we talk about them all the time. You know it. If you haven't been, you're missing out. 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103. Plenty of craft beers on tap, and they also have some in cans and bottles. And then if you're also a wine person, they got plenty of selections there too. And if you're hungry, just look at the menu they got for the first seat next door, and you can order some great food and have a good time with your friends. As soon as you're done eating, or while you're eating or drinking, whatever you want, just play some darts, play some shuffleboard, whatever you want. It's a great place to have some fun. Last time I went, there was a big group sitting on the couch. They were playing a board game. Sounded like they were having fun. So you can do that too with your friends. You guys should all go meet up at 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. Okay, well, let me pose this question to you, Robert. If Wiggins is not the Sunday guy, who is?
I think, based on experience, Cole Ramage gets the first shot. It just seems the logical decision to me. It seems like he has been throwing better, maybe not as good as he was in the very early part of the season, but it seems to me that he's throwing better than the slump that he I guess encountered halfway through the year. It really seems like that is the most logical choice. Will McIntyre has certainly proven himself as a midweek starter. Still haven't seen him throw against an SEC team. So if I were Van Horn, I would be hesitant with McIntyre. Not to his discredit. Yeah, you just got to ease him in, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it were me, I'd probably go McIntyre over Ramage right now. I really don't care about quality of opponent in midweek. I care about results. And I feel like McIntyre, Dave Van Horn showed against UCA, he wanted to go with McIntyre, didn't throw Ramage. Maybe that's because he was trying to save him for the weekend, but he didn't throw him this weekend. So I think that might have said something. Also, you could go to a guy like Zebulon Vermillion, who has starter experience. Heston Tole, maybe. I don't know if he would start Heston Tole. And this one wouldn't work only because he would have thrown by then, but Brady Tigert. Brady Tigert as your third starter would be good. I don't know if they think he's ready or not. I don't know what point they're trying to get him, if that's this season or next season that they want him to be a starter. But I think if you're talking overall, like no caveats like he threw on Friday, Brady Tiger's probably your He's your third best pitcher, don't you think?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah. What was I going to ask you? Okay, so here's a hypothetical. Say they get to Tuscaloosa, week 10 of 10. It's the last regular season weekend. They've wrapped up the West title, at least by Sunday. If you don't want to start Jackson Wiggins, I think that's a great time to not start Jackson Wiggins unless you're hoping that a salvage start there can somehow help you the next week in Hoover or, in the NCAA tournament. Say you don't want to start Wiggins in that Sunday game. Do you start McIntyre just for the hell of it?
I think I would say yes, but we've heard from Dave Van Horn himself that they would be interested in starting McIntyre game 1 in Hoover.
That's right.
So that would be my only reason for not doing it. But if they're at the point where by then Wiggins has given you another 2 really bad outings, they might not have a choice. Like, they might be going to McIntyre or whoever it is just because it's no longer Wiggins on Sunday.
Right. I'm trying to remember the way things went last year. Like, I want to say Wiggins started the last game of the regular season, which carried no meaning for the Hogs because they had already it was the walk-off, the Welch walk-off, and fireworks the night before, right?
Yeah.
So Wiggins started that game. I want to say it was Lyle Lockhart who started game 1 of the tournament in Hoover.
Because didn't he almost throw a complete
nearly
game
threw that perfect 7-inning perfect game against Georgia?
Yeah.
So if
Lockhart had been your Sunday starter for most of the year.
That is true, and they probably just wanted to get Wiggins a start to see if he could do it.
Yeah.
Now, if Wiggins proves himself by then, which I don't know, 2 weeks, is that enough time to do that? Maybe not. But if he does, and that game carries no significance for the Hogs, I think that's a good opportunity to start a McIntyre or a Ramage.
And this is if Arkansas had already won 2 games against Alabama.
If that game doesn't mean anything,
okay.
Regardless if they've won, split, lost, if they've wrapped up the division by then, which I assume, they're not going to catch Tennessee at this point.
Nobody is.
I think that's out of the question. So you're playing for the 2 seed. You're playing for the West title. If they've got the title locked up by game number 30, start someone else.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get to our weekend MVPs.
Let's do it.
At the plate, I think you went first last weekend.
Yeah, you go first.
At the plate, my weekend MVP, I'm going to give you the easy one. This is tough because it's between 2 guys for me. Can I give a double MVP?
Sure.
What if I take one of your guys, though?
Co-MVPs. That's okay. I got 2 I'm choosing from.
I'm going to pull a Southeastern Conference, and I'm going to go with co-MVP Michael Turner and... Is that one of yours?
Nope.
Michael Turner and Kendall Diggs.
Okay.
So Turner, his home run, that's what wins you the game on Sunday. He goes 4 for 11 at the plate, 2 RBI. He had 2 singles, a double, the homer, only struck out once on the weekend. And Friday, as we mentioned, he had 3 hits. So he was single-handedly trying to keep the team alive, got to third base 3 times and got out. And then his homer on Sunday wins the game. And then Kendall Diggs, self-explanatory, his home run, and the biggest stage of his career, according to him, and biggest moment of the season so far, he wins the game. So I think that is MVP worthy, even though he only went 1 for 6 at the plate. That one hit was the biggest hit of the weekend, maybe the season.
Gingers dig the game-winning long ball.
Gingers?
You.
Oh, yeah.
Turner won it Sunday. Diggs won it Saturday.
I do dig the game-winning long ball.
Okay, there we go. All right, if you're going to go co-MVPs, then I'm going to go co-MVPs.
How do you have 2 more?
I'll explain it. First one is fairly obvious. Braden Webb was 6 for 10 on the weekend. Drove in the only runs in the loss on Friday. Like I said earlier, gave him a chance to win that game. Here's an interesting stat that I found that I haven't brought up yet. In 9 innings in the 3 games, did the Hogs have the leadoff man reach base? Only twice did that runner score. Both times, it was a Braden Webb home run.
Huh.
Peyton Stovall walked in front of him on Friday, and Jace Borafin wore a pitch in the 5th inning on Saturday, and that was the one that put him up 3-2. So had there not been a little mini implosion in the 8th inning, that would have been the game-winning home run. But 6 for 10. He had 4 RBI, 2 different 2-run shots, scored 3 times, 3 singles, a double, 2 home runs, like I said, 1 walk to 1 strikeout. He only struck out 1 time. Is that real? It is. How about that? Good for Braden Webb.
Yeah, good for Braden Webb. Only 1 strikeout on the weekend.
Yeah, so that's the obvious choice for me. And the less obvious choice is Chris Lanzilli. I talked about how big that at bat was earlier. He didn't really do much. I mean, he didn't start Friday. Came in, went 1 for 4 Saturday, but his home run Sunday to get Wiggins a lead. Granted, Wiggins didn't do anything with it, but that was big at the time. And then to work that 8-pitch at bat, to get on base for Michael Turner to then drive him in with a run, that was really important. So he goes 2 for 4, 2 ribs, 2 runs in Sunday's finale, in which they won 4-3. So unsung hero, maybe. I don't know if it's a co-MVP, but an unsung hero award certainly goes to Chris Lanzilli.
Okay, real quick, MVPs on the mound. I'm going to go with Brady Tigert. He goes 5 innings, only 1 hit, 6 walks, but struck out 7, and closed it out on Saturday and Sunday to get you 2 wins.
Well, if you're going to go with Tiger, I guess I got to go with Morris for holding things under control.
Zack Morris!
Zack Morris! It's an exclamation point now,
yes,
for those of you who may have forgotten.
Yep.
Yeah, he just got things under control. He inherits a 2-1 game. Am I looking at the right one? 3-2 game in the 4th. Manages to bounce out of that with no trouble. Induces 2 different double play balls in the 5th and 6th innings. I mean, just he said it in the post game press conference, but you know, he goes out there and he doesn't feel like he has to strike people out. He's a Bull Durham enthusiast. Strikeouts are fascist. Ground balls are more democratic, and what better middle infield to throw ground balls with than Robert Moore and Jalen Battles?
I know, right?
So, Zack Morris does a really good job of keeping things under control there. Picks up his 4th win of the year. He's 4-0 now, so that's MVP worthy in my mind.
Okay. Our weekend MVPs were brought to you by the Encore Group. You know our friends at the Encore Group. We are so thankful for them. And if you want to also be thankful for the Encore Group and you are trying to sell your home, then use the Encore Group. Because if you don't, then you can't be thankful for them. But if you do, then you're thankful because they sold your house in the shortest amount of time for the most amount of money. You see these ads. So on Wednesday nights, I watch TV with my wife. We watch Wheel of Fortune and we watch Survivor. That means that I don't stream, so I have to watch the commercials. And there's a lot of commercials for these real estate companies that are like, we'll sell your house in the least amount of time for the most amount of money. I don't believe you. Prove it.
Are they Matt Grissom?
They're not Matt Grissom.
Are they the Encore Group?
They are not the Encore Group. And so they're not doing it. But Matt Grissom and the Encore Group, they are doing it. They're selling your home in the shortest amount of time for top dollar because they hire professional video and photography. They create custom signage. They get your home show ready and much more to go above and beyond marketing your home. Don't settle for a bunt when it comes to selling your home. Call the Encore Group for a Grand Slam experience. Who hit the most recent home run? Michael Turner, Grand Slam experience. For more information or to receive a free property valuation proposal, visit sellingarkansas.com.
That was TV level fast reading. Good job.
And last but not least, real quick, Barley and Vine. You know it, 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. Go get you some beer. Go get you some wine. Go get you some food. And have a great time at Barley and Vine.
Downtown Bentonville, go see them.
Downtown Bentonville, go see them. All right, real quick, Robert, we got to wrap this up. We got 4 minutes, okay?
All right.
Trying to end this by 9 p.m. Give us the SEC standings. SEC West. I don't care about the East.
All right, Hogs are alone in first, 14-7. Behind them, there's a 3-way tie between Auburn, A&M, and LSU at 2 games back, 12-9. That means that this series against Auburn this weekend is very, very important.
You said A&M and LSU are 2 games back?
Yes.
And Auburn?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tight.
So Arkansas has the tiebreaker over LSU. Right.
Correct.
Not
A&M.
A&M. So
And they can earn the tiebreaker over Auburn with a series win.
Who does A&M have left?
A&M has... they just beat Vanderbilt, right? Okay, so they're home against South Carolina next week, home against Mississippi State the following week, at Ole Miss to finish it out. So
that is easy money.
Well, I mean, nothing in the SEC is. However,
it's not easy, but those are 3 really struggling teams.
South Carolina did just sweep Alabama, I think.
Yeah, but South Carolina is the most bipolar baseball team.
That's true.
In the country.
All 3 of those teams are under 500 in at least 3 games. So, okay. Mississippi State, Alabama tied at 9-12. They're 5 games behind the Hogs, and Ole Miss still sitting in the cellar, 7-14, 7 games back.
Man, big series.
Yeah,
who would have guessed coming into the season that Arkansas-Auburn was going to be the biggest series of the season for the Hogs?
Not me. We're going to have to get into this Sonny DiChiara guy next week because he's hitting about 450. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Hogs are not going to catch Tennessee. Like you said, the East doesn't really matter at this point. So play for the division, win this series at Auburn, and you can go from there.
We are going to Hoover. So
yes,
if anybody wants to help us out financially, going to Hoover, just hit Hoover. Just hit me up or Robert up on Twitter, and we'll try to line something up.
We're excited. It's going to be fun.
Anyways, I don't like asking for money, so don't feel pressured. We'll be fine.
We will be fine. But you don't ask, you don't get. You got to make that just in case.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay, are we done?
Yeah.
You got anything else to add?
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Missouri State Tuesday, 6:30. Yes. Bark at the Park. I'm excited.
Dogs are coming to the yard. How about that?
I've never been to a Bark at the Park. Is it Bark in the Park or Bark at the Park?
I think it's Bark in the Park.
Okay, I've never been to one. I heard from a friend of the podcast, Christian Cheatham. He said that it's a really bad experience because dogs are just pooping everywhere.
Oh.
There's the possibility that a dog attacks somebody. Is the university liable for that, or do you think there's fine print?
Oh, there's definitely fine print.
Okay.
I think that goes without saying that there's fine print.
Okay. Do you think people have to pick up their dog's poop?
I mean, is it a public place? I would think they have to, yeah.
Wow.
You
think they're going to provide doggy bags, like, for the poop?
I think they probably should. If I were a dog owner, I personally would not bring my dog to this.
Unless I own, like, a pit bull. Do you think that they limit the breeds of dogs you can bring in?
Maybe.
Because I've never experienced this, so I don't know.
We should ask our contact.
No, first of all. Second of all, I'm excited, and I'm going to pet a lot of dogs. I love dogs.
Maybe we should sit on the concourse for this one.
Maybe we should. Anyways, 6:30?
6:30, SEC Network Plus, stream it.
Okay, so the game's on Friday, but before we go, we do have a special treat for everybody. Mackenzie Tole of Tole Sports Management sat down with me and kind of talked through some of the stuff she's got going on with the Razorback players, a little bit of insight into NIL and just what it's like to be a name, image, and likeness agent and how that works in each state. So it's really cool. Stick around for that. Very thankful for her. And yeah, so after that, we'll be done and we'll talk to everybody on Friday. All right. Here's Mackenzie Tole. Okay, we now welcome on Mackenzie Tole, owner, founder of Tole Sports Management. Yes. You've heard about Tole Sports Management on the podcast. She is here to explain it more. So, Mackenzie, first of all, just what was the idea behind it and what made you want to go into it?
Yeah, so I obviously always knew that the sports management side of sports was what I wanted to get into. Long-term goal was to start my own sports agency, but thanks to all of the NIL laws changing, that happened sooner rather than later. So Tole Sports Management was started in July of 2021. And I then immediately got certified to do NIL in different states. So you do have to be certified with each state. And so I got certified in Arkansas and Mississippi based off of where I went to undergrad. And then Arkansas because of like Heston and all of his teammates and stuff. And then NIL just really took off. I mean, it's kind of like the Wild West. We joke with all the rules changing constantly day to day, but now that players can get compensated for their name, image, and likeness, it's a huge field that I really hit the ground running on, and it's been very successful thus far.
So you have to get certified to be able to help these players out. Is that a thing that every business has to do, or just like, you're technically an agent, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you want to be an athlete agent on the NIL side of things, you do have to be certified in the state. So it's a pretty much like very simple application process. Each state is pretty much the same. You do it through the Secretary of the state, and then fill it out, apply, they accept or decline, and then you go from there. So certified in multiple states. You kind of have to decide which state you feel like the market's going to be the best. I've had some players reach out to me in a state that I don't feel that like the application process and the amount of money will, return a good, return of investment, that type of thing. But you just kind of do it all and apply and kind of go from there. You really have to see like who the players are, work on scouting, statistics, that type of stuff, to know the market, and then research businesses and companies who will invest in those players.
Okay, so currently you have 5 Razorback players,
Yes.
right? Okay. What went into deciding those? I know one of them makes a lot of sense, Heston Tole, but
Yes.
the others, did he recommend them, or did you reach out to them, or did they reach out to you? How did that work?
Yeah, kind of all of it. So obviously, like you said, yes, my brother was my first, you could say, client. And then from there, just kind of reached out to others. There was a weekend back in November where I came up here for a football game, and I took a lot of them out to breakfast, and we talked, discussed NIL. I was educating them as well, because they, don't know what even it is. They knew they could get paid off of stuff, but there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that, the players do need to be educated on and stuff. And so I took them to breakfast. We talked about it all. I discussed how like the contracts work, how, this isn't professional representation. It is strictly NIL for NCAA and compliance purposes, and just kind of talked to them about the process and left it up to them. Like, I'm here to help you. I would love to work together. Here are some of the ideas I already have. And then from there, those players said, yes or no, whatever. And that's kind of how I built my clientele here at Arkansas.
Okay, so have you seen that help you out outside of Arkansas? And also, have you seen other players interested? Like, have you had other Razorbacks reach out to you? So,
absolutely. I mean, that definitely kind of gave me my boost that I needed as a new agent, as a new company. Having those players, trust me to work for them and be able to build their own brand and represent them has grown my network tremendously. From there, I had several players across the country reach out to me. I mean, I had guys at Auburn, Baylor, Texas Tech, kind of all over the place. But right now, it is solely just me and my company. And so I did have to pick and choose, decide where to spend my time, energy, effort on these players. And, future, I would love to be able to say yes to everyone and to, help represent multiple athletes all across the country. But right now it is, just kind of Arkansas based, and then I do have a Ole Miss pole vaulter, so for my Mississippi certification as well. But that definitely increased, my own brand and reputation and all of that as well, starting off with like Arkansas baseball, and then it will continue to grow.
So as far as the players, when it comes to the merchandise that you have for them, did they have a say into what went on it? Because I think Michael Turner Time, yeah. I'm sure he was like, well, I have Turner Time, we can do that.
Right, absolutely. It was solely up to them. I was like, here's what we're doing. I've partnered with a designing and manufacturing company, and let me know what you want to do. So, you kind of have Heston and Braden, who are a little bit more your simpler, didn't really want like necessarily a saying. Heston was like, I want my name, number, signature, and here's a picture. Braden was like, I want a Bible verse. I want, this kind of silhouette of me in the outfield. And then you have like Bracken, Matthew, and Turner, where they were like, okay, let's kind of do a play on words. Let's add Turner Time, release the Bracken, Fayetteville's finest, Matthew being from here. And so that's kind of how we all got the ideas going. And then I sent the ideas to my designer and was like, all right, give us, a sketch. Let us know what you think. And she designed it all and then sent it back to me, and I would send it to the players. And some, it was very, perfect, I'm good to go. And others, we would tweak some things, made it literally, if they were like, I don't like that font, let's change it or something like that. It was solely up to them and what they wanted. And then we've just pushed them out. We've added some koozies. We've added some other little things that, each player has multiple shirts. So there are some other ideas that kind of we did on our own behind the scenes, but all of it is approved through the player. And then they say yes, and they're on the website and open to the public. So it's been really fun to do and see the boys' ideas as well. They're getting to make their own kind of dream and then push it out there to the public. So it's really cool.
So you told me before we started recording that you also represent a couple minor league players. Mm-hmm. As far as that goes, do you have to play by the same rules where you have to be certified in each state, or can that just be anywhere?
So on the professional side, you're certified through the Major League Baseball Players Association. So I'm MLBPA certified because I took their exam and am good to go. However, they do it a little differently. Your certification only lasts 3 years. So within 3 years, if I don't have a guy on a 40-man roster, then I have to take the certification again. So that is obviously my next goal, is to get my first player on that 40-man big league team, and to be able to then solidify and get my certification kind of set in stone. So right now I have a guy who's with the Detroit Tigers organization. He's on their AA affiliate, and then I have a couple others who are in the works. Mariners organization, another Tigers organization guy, and all of that. And so the professional side of things is a completely different certification process, rules that we go by, what I do for them versus the college side. But, my hope and goal is to start getting these athletes on the college side at a young age, which then hopefully leads them into the professional side as well.
Well, I would say if you have this tie-in to Arkansas, that really definitely helps you moving forward, because they're producing a lot of major league players. Mm-hmm. So that's good that you have that. I want to address the elephant in the room.
Yes.
You're from Ole Miss, and Arkansas plays Ole Miss this weekend. So we're recording this on Saturday for those listening. So Ole Miss has won the first game.
They did.
But your brother pitches for Arkansas. What are your feelings right now?
Yeah, so definitely heart divided, but I have always said, when Heston, and especially, my other athletes as well, not just Heston, but all 5 of them, when they play Ole Miss, yes, I graduated from there. Yes, I have huge ties to there, but first and foremost going to represent my brother and his teammates when they play each other. Now, when they don't, I cheer for Ole Miss and I cheer for Arkansas separately. But when they do play each other, I definitely had my Pigs hat on. I had my Heston button, all of that last night. But I did go into this series. I was like, okay, this always makes me so much more nervous than any other series, just because of the ties and, the Ole Miss players know that Heston and me and the connection and all of that. And so when I saw Heston in the bullpen last night starting to warm up, I do get very, very nervous. But I know that he's not nervous, which can calm me down and stuff like that. But it is a very fun, sibling rivalry for all the sports, football, basketball, baseball, all of it. We always talk some smack to each other leading up to it and then afterwards. So, yeah, Ole Miss won the first games. We'll see how today goes and go from there. So it's for bragging rights.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you say you support Arkansas, but when Ole Miss wins on Friday, I feel like there's probably a part of you that's like, okay, let's go. Especially because Heston didn't pitch. So
right.
There you go.
I mean, yes and no. Obviously, I do want success for both of them. It is, something that I'm pretty neutral to both. I'm not gonna be upset if one over the other, but my ties are right now with Arkansas for sure. And that's something that, I want success for them. And then obviously I want Heston to do well. So when and if he pitches this weekend, I will 100% be rooting for him in Arkansas. So.
Okay. Last thing here, just moving forward, if you could pitch to future clients of yours, or maybe a player listening or a high school player listening that is planning on playing at the next level, what is your pitch to them on how you can help them and set them up for success moving forward?
Right. I think the main thing is helping them establish their own brand and identity. I think as we see social media and marketing becoming more and more prevalent every single day, that's something that, a few years ago wasn't even as big as it is today. And so I think if a player can establish their brand, whether it is a specific saying or a logo or whatever it may be at a very young age, whether that's high school, college, whatever, and being able to then use that throughout their whole career, that then will lead into that professional side of things as well. Because especially right now, minor leaguers, they don't get paid, enough that's something that's livable just based off of their athletic performance. So you do have to go on to the other side, their looks, their, like I said, their brand, their demeanor, what they can do and market on the other side of things, not just their athletic ability, but from that like marketing, endorsement, sponsorship side as well. So I think players who, know who they are, know what they want to represent, that's then what can lead them into greater success, throughout their whole career from, on and off the field.
Okay. Well, Mackenzie Tole, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for representing these Razorback players and helping them out, because I'm a big supporter of NIL in college baseball because the 11.7 rule.
Right.
Now, this week we did have news come out that rules might be changing, but as of now, what you're doing really helps these players out, because I'd have to guess that all the guys you're representing aren't on full scholarship.
Right, and that's something that a lot of fans and businesses don't know. I mean, yeah, there are only a handful of guys compared to like your football program, for example, who are on scholarship. And so a lot of these guys, tuition, living, books, whatever it may be, is coming out of their own pocket. And so any little part of it helps, whether, it's enough for them to buy a tank of gas that week, or, help some with rent or whatever it may be, definitely helps them out from like that money standpoint. So I think it's great. And, hopefully, fingers crossed, the scholarships when it comes to baseball will change some and can increase for their benefit. So.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it.
Hopefully Ole Miss doesn't win the next 2 games.
Yeah, I would like a little Sunday tension, 1-1 series
match.
going on.
Okay.
Yeah, rubber match. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at drstew32.